What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devan. That's Melo. And tonight, we are very, very excited to introduce to you an extremely special guest for us, a parent to one of the higher-end recruits that Ohio State has in their class, the best linebacker in the nation, Juliet Pettijohn. How are you doing today, Juliet?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're doing well. It's great to see you and finally to connect with you. And we love your son's game. He's amazing. So we wanted to get to know the parents, and that's why we do this. We like to see the backbone and the foundation of where these kids come from and how they're so mature, especially your son and kids like Devan Sanchez. They just seem like they carry themselves differently.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. When like me and Melo said, we're passionate about recruiting, and you can kind of gauge how some kids are by how they recruit. You got some kids that they change schools all the time, they chase certain things, but behind all these kids there's always a support system, and you can tell how the support system is based off of how they carry themselves and how they were raised. So I can only imagine that you have been through a lot with Riley, getting him to this point in time in his life. So we'll dig in at it a little bit and kind of see, how did he get here? What was it like? And, where the road's going to lead you from here? Because I know it's a bright future. Just a quick introduction for Riley. 247 Sports has him ranked as the number 41 prospect overall and the number 2 linebacker. Me and Melo watch a lot of film. We dive into all this all the time. We do not agree with those rankings. Riley is the best linebacker in the nation. I don't really think that's a question. We're not biased. That's what it is. We thought that before Ohio State got involved. So anyway, we really appreciate you coming in, Juliet. Before the show, Melo, I actually introduced her to Cujo. And she
did you? What did you think about Cujo? Do you think he's a nut for having a pet raccoon?
It's so crazy. And I don't know why I thought Dev was in Ohio. So I'm like, maybe this is like an Ohio thing. But then he's like, I'm in Tallahassee. And he's like got a raccoon like tied out in the back. So I was like, Riley, come downstairs real quick. So Riley got to see Cujo too before he left.
Yeah.
Did Devin tell you how he wrestles gators too as well?
I didn't tell her.
But
randomly in
Florida
too
for a long time. So that doesn't. Yeah, I'm good.
I do.
I get that. People do that a lot in Florida. So
well, one tried to get Cujo, and I had to save him. So, I had to jump on him and get him. So anyway, enough about Cujo. He's got enough starlight on this show before. So we'll just go ahead and dive into it, Juliet. So obviously got a lot of athleticism in your family for Riley to be who he is. I know that Riley has a couple cousins as well that are very high up, very athletic in football. So what was it like for you as a kid? Did you get into sports? Was your family in the sports? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So like I live mostly in Lexington, Kentucky. And then when I was 9, we moved to Cincinnati. So, Kentucky, especially 70s, 80s, basketball is like the thing. So my family is a huge basketball family. I did not play basketball, but I cheered like competitively from like 2nd grade up until, we moved to Cincinnati and then through high school. So cheering was my main thing because, I couldn't play basketball, but I was like, cheering is it. It's serious in Lexington. So big UK fans. My dad was like, season ticket holder for like 30 years. Got to see the Fab Five from that other school, play. But I mean, I ran track. And I did cheerleading, and those are like my main 2 sports. My brothers played soccer and basketball, and my dad played basketball too. So
nice. Well, sounds like you were in it a little bit there for sure, running track, cheerleading. I had a couple cousins that did the competitive cheerleading, so I know that if you don't really know what it is, it's intense. It gets intense sometimes for sure.
Especially for those flyers. If you don't catch them,
it was crazy.
Girls get dropped before.
Yeah. I mean, I love track, but they put me in the 300 hurdles, and that just kind of ended my passion. So.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Done. I was done.
So does Riley have any siblings, right, that are in sports or anything yet? Or tell us about the siblings.
So his older brother Duke played football like when they were younger, and he focused more on basketball in high school. And so he's still in Tallahassee right now as a second-year student at Florida A&M. He's not playing basketball, but he loves like going over to Florida State and like hooping. He had a growth spurt after graduation, so he's 2 years over Riley, and grew like 4 inches. And so it's crazy.
Dang.
Like it would have been really beneficial like in high school, but he's sitting about 6'3.5" right now, and he's doing great. He's very athletic, very gifted athletically. And then so Sloan, our youngest, is 11, and she is an amazing soccer player, but she's like a little beast of an athlete. Like she is a beast. She gives Laurinaitis and all those guys like fits when she's running around the woodies. So, and she's a center back. She's a defender, and she plays with FC Dallas. It's the professional soccer team youth league here. So yeah, she's very serious.
We played them actually. Well, my daughter's team played the 08s in a showcase out in Dallas Showcase, ECNL showcase.
Yeah. So she's on the pre-ECNL because she's, still 11, but she loves soccer.
Are you ready for that? You ready for that lifestyle?
Listen, I don't know who's going to be running her all over the place, especially during football season, but we're going to figure it out.
It gets nuts. And Texas has some crazy talent like that. Solar Club is probably the top club in America right now.
Sting, DKSC.
Yep. We played Sting too.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Sounds like surrounded by a competitive athletic group of kids there. That's a good thing. I'm in Tallahassee, so I got to hook up with Duke. I played a lot of basketball. That was my main thing too. So need to go take some. Have to give him a call and take some people's money on the basketball court.
He was over at Florida State playing yesterday. He was like, "It's raining hard."
Really?
Yeah.
So why FAMU and not the house? I gotta ask that because I went to Morehouse. So I mean,
you did. I went to FAMU, Melo. So that's probably the biggest reason. And I can't even get into like the visit we took to Morehouse. It was very interesting.
Oh, I already know what you're thinking about.
It's very interesting, and we love Atlanta.
We'll talk off camera about that.
My dad lives in Atlanta, but he was like, "I don't think this is for me." It's all good, all good.
Yeah,
we love our Morehouse brothers. So
yes.
Well, so obviously you got a packed schedule as a parent, and I can only imagine, having 3 kids like that. You just talked about having to, schedule things here, schedule things there. So I can imagine that growing up with Riley, he was in several different sports. You had to take him several different places. So watching him play in all these different sports, was there a particular time when you like sat back and were like, dang, like this could go somewhere. We're about to be a number 1 linebacker in the nation. We're about to be playing for Ohio State. When was that moment where you're like, dang, this could really go somewhere?
There was not that moment. Like Riley was crazy. Like he was the kid that did everything he was not supposed to be doing. He would not sit still. So we just put him in things just to occupy his energy, right? And so, we even considered hockey, honestly, because, we went to an ice rink here in Dallas, and he was 3, and he just threw on the ice skates and just starts running, like, and didn't fall. Like, and we're like, this dude is crazy. Like just running all over the place. We couldn't hold him when he was little. Like he's just busy. I think he started running at like 9 months. He's just so busy. There was nothing specific about his skill. It was more so about his willingness to just try everything and not care if he wasn't the best. So he did track, he did soccer, he did football. He was on a team he wasn't even supposed to be on the teams with the kids that were 2 years older, but he didn't care. Like he just never cared. He's like honey badger, literally. Like I just doesn't care. And and so it's interesting because the older brother cares a lot. Like he wanted to be great at everything, make sure he was good. And Riley was just like, I don't care. And I think it's that has like really giving us those light bulb moments. Like, this dude will really like just go out there and not care. Like, he will just go do it, like full tilt too. Like, not even like, try it. Like, no, I'm going hard. He played on a soccer team and he was the only one that didn't speak English. Like, he didn't care. It's just like out there running around. Like, so it was kind of more that. And then it was probably more like ninth grade, honestly, where, he, finally got out of the middle school, like, weirdness with regards to coaching and all that. And the very first game, like, he just went berserk. And everybody was like, in Frisco, we were playing a team in Frisco, and we were all like, who is this guy? Like, he's crazy. Interceptions, like all the things. And so I think it was that first ninth grade football game that we were like, wow, he's going to be good at this. And it's really been his focus ever since. And he dunked also, like, in a game in ninth grade, like, just random. Like, ninth grade, we're in the auxiliary gym. He like grabs a steal and just jams it. And everybody's like, whoa. So we were like, okay, he's really, we knew he was athletic, but it was like, okay, just, just doesn't care. Like, I'm going to try it. I'll do a dunk in a game. Like, and he hadn't even grown much yet. Like, he just jumped up and slammed it.
So is he still playing basketball, or did he stop playing?
That was it. Ninth grade, he was done. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's like,
it sounds like he's got the energy for the position of a linebacker. And it sounds like he might have had that trait. He's been a linebacker his whole life if he's always been running around, doing all kind of crazy things. So you watch his film, you can tell he's got some high energy, because it's a very, very fun film to watch him getting around blocks, smashing people, and even in coverage. You watch him cover people, and it's like, what's going on here? The dude can go in the box and absolutely get around offensive linemen and all that stuff. And at the same time, he can sprint down the field and cover somebody for a long deep ball. And it's just like, wow.
He's like a DB in a linebacker's body, which is insane. You know, like, that's a rarity.
Like, it's weird, like, watching that, like, over the years, because, like, Big Duke played at Syracuse, and he was
I was about to ask you about that.
And so when I met Duke, though, he was playing arena football in Orlando. And I just remember, like, going to the first arena game, and I was like, this guy is crazy. Like, he was playing that position on offense and then coming in and, like, sack. And I'm like, this dude will not stop. And they used to call him, like, Arena Ray, like, after Ray Lewis, because, like, this dude is crazy. And he, I think it's definitely a genetic thing that he's passed on to Riley, because he could just go, and he'd come home and, like, resod the entire front yard and like tear it up. And I'm like, people be like, what? This dude is crazy. So, I mean, it's definitely, I think, in his genes for sure. So,
yeah. I was like, it's crazy, because Melo said that, a DB and a linebacker body. Well, in the same sense, there's a lot of scouts out there that think he could be a defensive end one day. So to even have that in the same conversation is wild. So
it's pretty cool. Like, he got to go with his dad up to Canton for the Hall of Fame induction. And so Dwight Freeney, who played opposite Duke at Syracuse, was being inducted. And so just getting to meet, I mean, like, I think everyone just spoke, so well into him over the weekend, from, Larry Fitzgerald to Tony Dungy to Dwight, like Emmitt Smith. Like, it was just like crazy. And he's just up there like, yeah, okay. Like, So I think, who knows? We just pray for, like, just good health, which he's, I think, also inherited from his father. He never had a serious injury, and just has been able to play the game, like, full tilt, like, without, like, serious injury or harm. So,
yeah. I was about to ask you about Duke, his father. He played at Syracuse. I think his last 2 years at Syracuse, won some couple, like, all conference awards or something like that. And then I read that he went and played some arena football. But not only that, you know, you read in the newspapers and stuff like that. Riley has a couple cousins that also play linebacker, you know, that are very, very good as well. So tell us a little bit about that part of the family there.
Yeah, so Duke's sister Angel moved down here 3 years ago and brought her boys. She has three, so there are two that are in high school. Kyler is a junior and Cam is a sophomore. And they have just taken right after Riley and, you know, pursued the linebacker position and just really blossomed. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's exactly what, you know, we honestly just prayed for as far as like an opportunity for them to just, you know, just come here, be developed in every way, athletically, obviously, and just as young men. And just to see it happening is just, it's a blessing. Kyler's had a great junior season, and Cam, the sophomore, he's like, he's got this dog like in him that I'm just like, oh my God. Like this kid is going to be, you know, it's something about the younger brothers, right? They've got a little bit more of a like grind, like, and something to prove, a little bit of a chip. And so it's that thing. But Kyler got his first offer. And so they're just now, you know, starting to experience some unofficial visits and things. And they're excited. They're excited about them. We're excited to like go on this journey again, like with them. So, yeah.
Yeah. What high school are they at?
So they're all in McKinney High School.
McKinney.
So three Pettijohns, linebacker.
It's the Pettijohn triangle.
They're like literally like Cam played next to Riley. Kyler played outside linebacker. And so it was, you know, we heard Pettijohn a lot this season, a lot. It's like Pettijohn.
That's awesome.
Pettijohn and Pettijohn. So it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. I read a newspaper article from down there that talked about, they kept calling it the Pettijohn triangle. They talked about a play, like one of the first plays of the season where all three of them got in on a sack on the quarterback. It's just really cool. It's kind of one of those things where, you know, I love hearing you know, mention your faith with prayer and blessings and stuff. We're big on that on this channel, man. The Lord saved my life a while ago. So it's cool to be able to sit back and look at all the blessings that God puts in front of us and the opportunities, the doors that he opens for different people. It's a beautiful thing to see and a beautiful thing to hear about. So appreciate you sharing that as well. You brought up the official visits that his cousins are about to start to take. So tell us about that first like big offer or that first official visit that you guys got invited to, where your eyes kind of got open, like, dang, man, this is about to take off. It's about to start, the ball's about to really start rolling with some big time programs.
Listen, like Riley's first offer, it came the summer after his freshman year. And so, you know, he hadn't even played varsity ball yet, you know, and we were driving back from Dallas, we're in North Dallas, and he gets a call, and Northern Arizona University like offered him. And like, you would have thought Ohio State had offered him. Like, we were like in the car, yes, let's go get boba. We celebrated. I mean, we celebrated like this dude was a first round draft pick in the NFL. And, you know, from there, it was just like, oh, there's more, you know. And I think SMU was like the second offer. And that was a great offer, right? And, you know, the process, just going through this and learning so much, because I was not recruited for anything. I'm like, this is so wild and so interesting. It's like, it's almost like taking like a sociology class and just human study and the behaviors and like, and then a business class, because you have to understand the business side of like the decisions that are being made and the offers, right? And so it's just been a really unique experience to have with him. And so when it came to official visits, Riley had, I think, dwindled down to about 5 schools. So it was Florida State, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and I said Ohio State. I'm leaving one out. I don't know who, but
Miami?
USC.
No?
USC. I'm sorry.
Oh, USC.
And so after we'd done like some spring visits just to get a feel, because there were things that he and his dad saw, like at USC, for instance, with defense. They were like, there were things that they saw in spring that they wanted to kind of see again. And so it was interesting. We did our first official visit was at Ohio State. So
yes,
and
sir.
we've been there once before, and I'll be like completely honest, like Riley was not going to visit in the spring because I don't know, I think in his mind he had visited the team up north like in the spring, liked the coach at the time, and I think in his mind he was like, this is really far. Like it was just, it was just something like, things seem great, but it's just like really far. And I think in his mind he thought, Ohio State was similar. But I don't know. I think after meeting like James, who's been great throughout the entire process, like just very subtly, very smoothly, unforced, like, building this rapport and this relationship along the way that I wasn't aware of. Riley's not the type of kid that comes home like, today I talked to this coach, this coach, this coach. And he would never, we would have to like pull information from him. Like,
right.
Like, well, George, and so he would never like just come home and say, I was like, I think we should just go see Ohio State. And that way, you'll know like that you made a fine decision to not go back. And we visited Columbus, and I'd never been, because even though I grew up in Cincinnati, I'd never been. And it was just a really great weekend. I think connecting with Sonny was just one of the key difference makers, along with, already having that great relationship with James. And so he decided to make it an official visit after that weekend. And the city was cool. I mean, I think the city surprised him, and he was like, wow, it's diverse. It's, like there's cool places to eat and things like, dude, and it seemed like a place like he felt comfortable with. And so it was the first OV. And we had a good group of kids, that were there visiting that same weekend. None that I really knew, before, but would subsequently see on, the following visits. And they just did everything right, and I think every kid is different from a recruiting standpoint. Some kids want flashing lights and fancy cars, and they want to talk to all the collective and NIL folks. And Riley did not want to talk to anyone when it came to NIL. He didn't want to make a decision based on that, which I thought was amazing. I was like, you want to? He's like, no, he didn't want to know.
Wow.
He only asked because you fill out little things like, what's your favorite this? Like, what do you want? He only asked to talk football. That's what he asked. I think the Woody just provided an environment that felt like I'm walking into a professional space to be developed.
Right.
And, it's a great space, but it's not all this like, this kind of superficial thing. It's
flashy.
Like, this is what we do. Here's the wall that proves this is what we do. These are all the people who, can, provide, actual, footage and testimony of how they were developed here. And I think that set the standard for the following, visits. And not to say other schools didn't kind of meet that standard. There was one that did not. There was one that did not meet it. But it worked out.
Dang, I thought you were about to mention who that was. No, I'm just messing with you.
I would guess, but I'm not going to guess and put her on the spot. It's probably somewhere on the West Coast. But anyway.
I will say no. I will say no.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
interesting.
there you go.
So his relationship with Sonny, how did that come about? And are they still close? Do they still talk every so often? I know the season is going on, so it's probably
Yeah.
hard for them to connect
I
as
think he
much.
does, like I said, Riley is not the type of person that comes home like, Mommy, today I talked to CJ and Sonny and we did this.
Yeah.
But I think he has like good, like constant communication with both of them. I know he's been on the game, and played the
Yeah.
game with them. I think he's given them
Oh,
crap
nice.
for missing tackles. I mean, like
Oh
he
yeah, I love
doesn't
him.
mind. If it's football, like he's
Yeah.
Yeah.
all in. And so I think, Sonny was just a good person for him to just have some conversation with. And he's so mature. I'm like, who
Yeah.
is this kid? Like, why is he like already this mature? Like it was
Yeah.
crazy. We were very
What when
blown
you were
away.
talking
Mhm.
when you were talking about Riley, to mention the way that he went about his recruitment with only wanting to talk football, not talk about nil and all that stuff, the first thought that popped in my mind is this kid really 17 years old, right?
Right.
Because
He was
you know,
16 at the time because Riley just turned
golly,
17 in July. So
yeah, that's
yeah.
wild. That shows you, how he's been raised, the people that he's
Exactly.
had to look up to, and it sounds like a perfect fit to be a Buckeye. To be honest with you, because like you said, that wall's the proof, man. And beautiful transition into this next question for you,
Yeah.
and then we'll dive a little deeper into Ohio State. But what is your opinion of? You went through the whole process. You're still going through it. What's your opinion of NIL and the transfer portal and the way that college football is structured nowadays to get recruits in the door?
Yeah, I mean, no, I having a husband who played, college football, who did not have like certain means, even abilities to like get a summer job. Like I'm really happy that NIL is an option. I think it is going to be a game changer, and I look at it a little bit differently because I see it as a way to kind of close generational wealth gaps if kids are equipped with the right tools to understand and be financially literate and responsible and good stewards. And we know that, so many of our athletes give back to their communities. So that excites me about NIL. And I know, for every kid that wants to go and set up and give back to their communities and, do things and invest and there's kids that are going to blow that money. Right. And
Yeah.
there's kids that are going to like, wear every dollar that they earn in NIL. But I think generally speaking, I'm really happy with it. I think it's long overdue. And I appreciate, and, as a parent, I was just very just impressed with, the way that Riley, decided to approach his decision when it came to NIL and that being a weighing factor in where he went. He completely took it off the table. And, there were schools that offered like amounts that we were like, oh, wow. Like, well, that's, okay. Because, there's
Yeah.
positions like, your quarterbacks and receivers, I learned very quickly, like these people are getting some serious, collective funds, right?
Hmm.
And then there's, these positions like linebackers and safeties, maybe that, there's a different scale, right? And so,
Right.
I mean, we're really happy with where he fell. And, I just think that with the landscape evolving as much as it is, we don't know what it's going to look like even next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I hope that it stays intact to just be fair to these kids who are, when I look at Riley and I see, and I can only speak for him, but I see someone who gives 110%, like in every snap, every to the whistle, and there
Yeah.
is no like, I'm just going to do a little bit because it's just like, my leg hurts, but I'm still going back in to make a play. I'm still going to be on the sideline, getting in my teammates, what, if they're
Yeah.
tired, like, you're not tired, And so
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I think it's a great way, to support the university as it continues to grow its programs. Yeah. So,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
to that point, I know they're about to switch over to revenue sharing where the
Yeah.
colleges can pay the students directly.
Mm-hmm.
This is a two-part question. How do you feel that will change the NIL space? Do you think it will be for the better and the benefit of the athlete, or do you think it'll be more negative compared to where NIL is right now? And
Yeah.
my second part of the question, you've been on so many visits without naming any schools or any coaches or names. What was one of the most craziest things that they offered your family and your son to come and sign the dotted line to go to that school?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll start with the first part of the question. So, I mean, with the change with revenue sharing, with regards to revenue sharing, like I really don't know what the impact is going to be. I think it's still going to be fair, and I think
Hmm.
it's going to give parity, right? You think about, schools that maybe are in different conferences. Like just, yeah, I just think that you think about women's sports. I'm
Right.
okay with that, and I'm not complaining about it before I see what it looks like. And I'm not going to give criticism because I really don't know. It might be better. Who knows? It's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and you think about guys whose jerseys were sold like for I don't know how many years, and they never earned
Yeah.
like a single dollar. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Wild.
So I mean, who are we to just, prejudge, something that hasn't been implemented yet? But
Hmm.
with regards to like school, so like no one offered us anything really crazy. So that's an easy one to answer. Like there was nothing like, well, one school said, if Riley committed, they could potentially offer our daughter a soccer scholarship. And she's like 10. So I was like, well, okay, that would be nice,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but yeah, but I mean,
Well,
nothing.
yeah, you hear all these stories out there about, these crazy offers that colleges make, and we know some of them are true and some of them are not true. So, that was the basis of that question. We appreciate you sharing for sure. But yeah,
Mhm.
Neil, it's I told this when we interviewed the Sanchez's. It's kind of like the internet, right? People call the internet like the devil sometimes, but it's not
Yeah.
the internet that's the devil. It's what you do with the internet, right?
What you
Same
do
with
with
Neil.
Mhm.
Neil has beautiful impact, giving back to your community, and it's only right and fair if colleges are going to make money off of these kids' names that they get some of that money for sure. It's just
Yeah.
the other aspect. If there's a positive, there's a negative side of it too, and it's what you mentioned. Some
Mhm.
kids, right? They don't have that support group, or they weren't taught the right way to be able to manage the
Yeah.
money at that age. And a linebacker, it might be a position that doesn't get paid as much as a quarterback, but you go to a school like Ohio State that trains you and develops you into a big time linebacker. Guess what? That money's coming. That generational wealth, it's coming. It's going to
Exactly.
be there, right? And you
Exactly.
know, that's kind of like we live in a microwave society now, right? Everybody wants what they want and they want it now, right? And
Yep.
that's just not the way. Anything good worth having takes a long time to get. It's like that crock pot mentality. You want to slowly seep it, cook it, and then at the end of it, it's going to taste way better. Life's going to be way better. So it's definitely a hard decision to be made. That's why we love interviewing, the parents and stuff to
Yeah.
kind of get a vibe on, how they raise their kids and stuff like that. And you can totally see there's a direct connection, right? When you speak to these parents and these recruits of, hey, what kind of decisions are they making? What are they doing? And that's not to say that these kids that do take the money don't get generous. Just because they
Right.
take the money up front doesn't mean they still can't succeed. It
Right.
just
Right.
makes it a little bit harder sometimes. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. For
yeah, we
sure.
appreciate you sharing that for sure. You did get in a little bit to the coaches in Ohio State already, but give us a little more detail on number one, like what were your thoughts of Ohio State before they ever even offered or anything? Like, did you ever have any thought about them, about good school, not good school, whatever? And then what are your thoughts now of being able to get your foot in the door, see the culture, see the players, meet the coaches? What are your thoughts now on Ohio State's culture and what they got going on over there?
Yeah. Like since I haven't lived in Ohio in so many years, like I kind of just forgotten about Ohio
Yeah.
State. I don't know if that sounds crazy, but I mean, when they last won the championship, of course, I was like super excited. You know, I know it's a great school. We have some friends whose kids have gone to Ohio State from Texas for academic pursuits strictly. And I mean, I think, you know, just being able to go and visit for the first time, you know, I was just really impressed by just how professional the environment seemed like at the Woody, and how like everyone from the strength and conditioning coach and everyone is just so great at what they do there. I mean, it was just impressive. And I, like I mentioned before, I think the city itself, as it's growing, is something that will continue to attract like top recruits. Um, I think, you know, the way that James and even Jim, I think I actually communicated with Jim before I met James. And I'm not the type of person that would just go and Google people, because I'm like, this guy, Jim Knowles, text me today. And I think my husband was like, well, he hasn't texted me. And I was like, well, no, like, and he's just like, you know, but you know, when I finally got to meet Jim and James, I met James first, but then they all came down for a meeting with Coach Day. And he was probably the one person I was like, I really don't know what to think. And I was just like, wow, I really like this guy, Coach Day. I was like, I really liked him. Enjoyed Jim. I think he's hilarious. I really do. Like, I think Jim is one of the funniest people to be around. And I think James is exactly what you see like is what he is. And so I felt very confident, like this is a great, you know, trio of people that will be directly, you know, working with Riley should he choose, you know, which he did, you know, to be a part of this team. And, you know, I think they did a great job, like just the way they went about, you know, talking with him constantly about the development part. And I think Coach Day is really good at kind of staying on message and staying focused and not being, you know, distracted by what he may hear or see or think, you know, is happening behind the scenes with other coaches and other recruiting. He's very laser focused, which I think is really impressive. Yeah.
Nice. Melo asked you a question before we started recording
I was about to bring it up.
Ask her, Melo.
So it's interesting that you have more than one connection to Ohio State besides just growing up in Ohio and in Cincinnati. Can you tell everybody your connection to Ohio State and a little bit of the background and the relationship and where it began and how it's thriving now?
Oh yeah, so that's so funny because so Monica Daniels, who's Paris Johnson's mom, went to my high school in Cincinnati, Princeton High School. And you know, I knew Monica, but it's not like we were friends. She's a year younger than me. But you know, Princeton's not a huge high school. It's, you know, it's big enough. And of course, I'd never met her son, but I knew he was like this great football player that, you know, transferred to Princeton and then was able to, you know, go up to Ohio State and just be amazing, right? And is now, you know, just killing it with the Arizona Cardinals. So Coach Day had asked, like, hey, would you like to connect with Monica to like learn more about, you know, the program and what Paris's, you know, journey was like? And I'm like, sure. And so she was one of the first people who greeted us when we arrived on the first day of Riley's official visit. And she kind of just like was sashaying. She's tall and, you know, long, is sashaying down this hall. And we're like off the plane, like, okay. But she's been great. She's been a great resource, a great supporter, not just to me, but I think to several of the moms. I'm sure Deetra Sanchez would say the same thing. She's always checking in. She has become like this, you know, unofficial, official type of ambassador when it comes to like the recruit parents. And I mean, I think at least twice, maybe 3 times a week, you know, she's doing a check-in and she's flying between Arizona and back to Columbus and, you know, to the next place wherever Paris may be playing. So she's been great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome for sure. You mentioned something before about Has Riley connected with any other recruits in the class so far? Built new relationships, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Riley, again, Riley does not come home and just openly share like these are the people I talked to today. But I know he and TJ probably talk the most. And then I'm assuming he probably chats with Eli, the other linebacker commit from Ohio. There's probably some other kids. You would have to ask Riley because he does not share. And I know some of the kids he kind of just knows from being at like the rivals camp or, some of the other things where they've, been on the same kind of stage and platform. So,
yeah. Well, it's awesome. Riley's been, had a firm foundation, Ohio State, kind of not too worried about any movement there. There's always movement going on in recruiting classes. That's just part of it. So it's nice to hear that he's connected with a couple other people in the class. Final two questions for you. We asked the Sanchez's the same thing, right? Has the rivalry with, I call them scum, okay? We'll refer to them as the team up north, I guess. But what's your thoughts on that rivalry, and has that sunk in yet? And are you excited to get into that?
I mean, I feel like the coaches did a good job of like helping us understand like why they don't say that word. They don't speak of it. We're kind of like, that's a little extra initially, like, so I think we're getting used to the idea of not, saying it, and we're like TUN or, the team up north. We're going to be there for that game next weekend, which is really exciting. I don't know if it's going to live up to, what we thought it would have based on the way their season's going. But, I think it's good to have a healthy rivalry. I mean, we live in Texas, and like every Texas game, regardless of who they play, UT, I mean, they sing a song that includes OU sucks. And it doesn't matter if OU had a great season. They could be playing anyone, like, and it's like, oh, you sucks. And we're like, okay. So I think, rivalries are a good thing for fans to feed off of. I think it fuels the fire and the passion around like supporting these kids and these coaches and staff that like give it their all week in and week out, to develop and deliver, wins for the school.
Yeah. This get ready, because I'm telling you, the Ohio State fan base is something special. We are something special. I'm telling you right now, we're psychos. Okay.
And did you know how the rivalry actually began? So this is why I think it's the best rivalry in the country. So it was a border dispute over Toledo, and it's called the Toledo War, where Michigan and Ohio literally fought a war from 1835 to 1836 over Toledo, Ohio. And by the name, you know who won, the same ones that typically have been winning the rivalry game since the past 20 years,
Yeah.
So we don't care for the team up north, and it's going to be a great game, especially if we drop 100 on them or something close to it. Like, as a Buckeye fan, it's going to be amazing, and you guys are going to love it too.
Yeah. No, we're looking forward to it. Our whole family is coming. So my oldest will be with us. We'll be in Kentucky for Thanksgiving. That's where my parents are both from Kentucky. So we'll be visiting my mom's family and then driving up to Columbus. And we're staying in like an area called Germantown, Columbus. So we're looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, it gets pretty intense. I know Riley's wearing that M on his helmet now, and it's got those colors at his high school, but we're pumped he's going to be scarlet and gray for sure. Last question. We'll get you off here after a few final words. Thoughts on Ohio State this year? We went in a natty this year. What's happening with us? What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, I think they look really good. I mean, I find myself very stressed when I watch the games, and like the Purdue game, I think I was just like, what is going? I was like, why? And then it's like everything like turned around, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, if I'm this stressed now, like what? I'm gonna be a mess when Riley takes the field. But I love defense. don't worry too much about them on offense. I really am like such a defense like mom that I really just look at defense, and if they can get 3 and out, or force punts. I think that I think they're just going to continue to be great. And I know they've had some challenges with the offensive line, but it's like next man up. And I just feel like what they kind of just build into that culture is like that next man will be ready. And so it's been great to see the kid that stepped in at the left tackle position. And I'm like, man, it's like great. Like there hasn't missed a beat, at least to me. And so I just think it speaks to just the way the kids are prepared and developed week in and week out. And, at Chip Kelly, and he's so nice. Like he's so nice. I just can't say enough good things about so much of the staff that we've engaged with throughout this process. So I feel really confident in them. Yeah, I do. I think they have the potential to go all the way. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, we are blessed and spoiled as Ohio State fans for sure. Most of the time I got to watch the games alone, right? And I only text very certain people because I go crazy. It's bad. Yeah, I text Melo already knows. I'd be texting some crazy stuff, but I calm down afterwards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And enjoy the moment for sure. Well, hey, we appreciate you, Melo. You got any final thoughts or questions before we wrap her up?
No, thank you for joining us. This was an amazing interview. We look forward to hopefully having you on the channel down the line if you're interested and up to it. One thing we do like to do on this channel is connect with future parents, with certain current parents and other future parents. So if that's something you're interested in, we could definitely hook that up and make it happen. And it'll be cool. We just chill. You see, this is how we get down for the most part, except in the live show, we interact with the chat. That's about the only difference.
Yeah. Yep. Big Duke walked in to the office, and I'm sad that he missed Cujo, but other than that.
Yeah. Well, hey, hang around. hang around when we get done recording. We like giving away Buckeye Boys t-shirts, so we'll gather some information from you, get you a couple shirts sent to add to your collection of Buckeye Nation stuff. So, hey, we appreciate you. Words can't express how grateful we are that you came on here, shared what you did with us. It means a lot to us. So, Buckeye Nation, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget the last name is Pettijohn, not Pettijohn. We got to start pronouncing this right. Show some respect to the last name.
Corner, like, thank you.
We got you. We got you, Duke. We got you. So appreciate you. Excited to have Riley, best linebacker in the nation, be a Buckeye. Is gonna make an impact immediately. We're excited about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Don't forget fan channel ran by fans. If you want to join us, you know where to email us at. We appreciate you. On that note, go Buckeyes. OH.
I-O.